Welcome back to part 3 of the Coast to Coast trip on my Pan America. Now, I had come home early Friday morning, around 2:45 or so Friday morning, and that Saturday, a friend of ours, a new friend, we're Bunker Biker hosts, and Paul Miller from Australia, he had gotten in touch with me a few days earlier and asked if he could bunk at our house for the night. I said, certainly. So he got there on Saturday. And on Sunday morning, when my wife and I headed for the New England states, Paul headed out with us for a little bit, rode with us for a little bit, and then he split off. But he has an interesting story, too. He came to the United States, bought a motorcycle here, toured the United States and parts of Canada, and sold the motorcycle, and then went back home to Australia. So we got to hang out with him on Saturday, spend some time with him, and get to hear his story. Neat story. But at any rate, Sunday morning, Jennifer and I headed for the New England states. And the goal was to get to Vermont that evening. We had a roughly 420 miles to get to where we wanted to go. So as we left our house, Paul followed us on a few of the back roads in our area. We have some covered bridges and stuff here in Lancaster area, and they're pretty neat. Some people do covered bridge tours. But from there, he split off after we got to the highway, and my wife and I, we took the highway for part of the way, not the whole way, but we did have some highway traveling, and we headed for Vermont. And that evening, we stayed in a yurt in Mount Holly, Vermont area. This is where we stayed. It's pretty cool. Right along that lake had a lot of lily pads, a lot of frogs. This is the interior. And we dropped our stuff off. We got on one bike. My wife got on the bike with me. We went out and found a little Irish pub, got something to eat. And that evening, we just hung out. It was a beautiful evening, had a beautiful sunset. There's the outhouse, you can see. No showers here, but big deal. So what? You have that sometimes. It's not that big a deal. Beautiful sunset that evening. But this is just riding through the town of Mount Holly. Not too much there. It's a small town. Spent the night there. Loved it. We had some rain that evening, but not a big deal. We covered the bikes. Wasn't a big deal. Next day, we headed for Mount Washington and had some beautiful views part way up. But as we got to the top, it really got cloudy, which we weren't surprised. This is pretty typical for Mount Washington. So if you come to the area, if you happen to have a clear day up top, good for you. From there, we headed to, that night, we stayed in Maine. Again, lakeside. Now, we did have an outdoor shower at this campground where we stayed, but we asked the locals where to eat. Where are the best places? We told them we wanted lobster. And this was one of the places they recommended. Beautiful views and plenty of lobster and some of the best lobster I've ever had. Actually, we went back the next night. We ate there 2 nights in a row. Excellent place. We also love oysters, my wife and I, so we enjoyed some oysters. Next morning, we headed for Schoonic Point, found the Black Sheep restaurant, had breakfast there, and then we rode the coast of Maine. If you've been there, obviously it's like a lot of other stuff. You really can't capture it all with videos. It's absolutely gorgeous. And this is the Schoonic Point area. So very nice. We stopped, took some pictures of a few places, but we had been to the coast of Maine before, but not on the motorcycle. So we wanted to ride it. So it was one of our goals. And we got to do that this summer. Again, we asked locals where to eat. What are the best places? What are your favorite places? Because we wanted somewhere along the water, but we wanted somewhere that the locals enjoy going to. And because one of the things that we do with, when we host through Bunker Biker or just other riders that stop in and, spend the night at our house and spend a day or so, we'll take them to the local stuff, the stuff that we as locals go to. And so that's what we like to do when we travel. not just on motorcycles, we do it anytime we travel. We like to try to find local joints, places that local people enjoy going to. So, as we were riding the coast, we had asked at the restaurant where we ate that morning, where we got breakfast, where would you go? We told them what we're doing on the coast, and we said, where would you go? So they recommended a place called Bunkers. So we stopped there, had a beverage, and then we just went out for a ride. Found the wild blueberry land. This place is pretty neat too. Got ourselves some blueberry muffins and a cup of blueberry flavored coffee. Saw these little minions. This is pretty creative. It's pretty neat. This is just as we're cruising around. Stopped at the Maine Coast Smokehouse, another place people recommended. Got some smoked salmon. Excellent. Very good stuff. We stayed in Maine for 2 evenings, and then we headed for Connecticut. Actually headed home, but stopped in Connecticut on our way home. Stopped in Connecticut for a night. Now, one of the things that I wish I would have done differently, we stayed on the coast a little farther than what I had. Well, I wanted to stay on the coast, and that was kind of a mistake. There was too much traffic, so we ended up going inland a little bit more to get away from the traffic. And we headed back home, and as much as we love to travel, it's always good to be home again. So that's a wrap for the coast-to-coast trip in 2024. 2025, planning some other trips. So like and subscribe if you're enjoying the videos, and we'll keep the videos coming. Over and out.